The ball game is over. Clemson loses its third game, make that third conference game, as well as third overall game, to the Miami Hurricanes, a team who's on a 2-game skid. They lost to a team tonight who I don't think they managed the clock very well. They might have not even needed to go to overtime to beat Clemson, but congratulations to Miami. You won. I said that this game would feature two teams who had to win. Two teams that it was a must to win. It was a must that Clemson win this ball game. It was a must that Miami win the ball game. Clemson's offense looked out of sync. At least for Brenningstool coming up with some big grabs. A guy who's been underutilized, didn't utilize him last year. I said this at the halftime report. Brenningstool, the tight end who made some of the great catches for Clemson, probably some of the only explosiveness or life that we saw on the offense. He was underutilized last year. He's been underutilized this year. Other than him, Clemson's offense looked terrible. Transparently, I could care less if Clemson's offense came out and had 600 total yards. You lost. Clemson had 3 turnovers. They had 345 total yards. Miami had 362 total yards. Both teams, Clemson had 19. Miami had 18 first downs. Listen to this. Miami had the football 15 minutes longer. That's a whole quarter longer than Clemson. Tonight, we saw them call the quarterback run with Cade Klubnik. That was the last play. I don't know what they were thinking on that play call. That play call made no sense. Clemson had absolutely no business. No, but Miami Canes fans, if you come in here and you're like, you're not giving us any shout out, folks, I told you good game. I wish you the very best. I'm talking about my team and how they're falling apart. Clemson was up 17-7. They blew it. They shouldn't have been in that place anyway. And before I go any farther, I'm going to welcome everybody. Right now, I have 170 people watching me right now. Thank you for joining me on the show. I'm not Bobby Durkins. You're like, who's Bobby Durkins? I don't know who Bobby Durkins is. Bobby Durkins is my redneck alter ego. In fact, I did this video as Bobby. Even Clemson fans really hate me. Beamer breaks his foot, so I did that video, and I drank Dabo Sweat a couple of weeks ago. Kind of mocking the Clemson fans who, no matter what happens with the football team, they will never question whether things could be better. Tonight, a few of them are coming over to my side. But welcome to the show. Hope you subscribe. Turn on the notifications. If you like what you're hearing, please subscribe. And if you want to support the show, there's a join button below. It's so flipping cheap you won't even notice it. But thank you for joining me. Clemson has officially, let me rephrase this. I knew this, but a lot of you still don't want to come to grips with it. Clemson is officially over. They're done. They are an average football team. We got all this talent. Yeah, we do. And we're wasting it. We played against a team tonight who had a freshman quarterback out there playing against, some people say, first-round talent on the defense. We have an offense who has talent here and talent there, and talent that had they went to Georgia, they might be killing it right now. But for some reason at Clemson, we have a development issue. Some people are going to get on here and you're going to talk about the transfer portal. The transfer portal is not the problem, folks. Clemson has the talent. Clemson's not developing the talent. I saw drop footballs tonight by guys who last year were catching the football right out of high school. It's got a common theme with Clemson. Earlier this week, Dabo Swinney made some comments. And if you haven't heard about it, I have 238 of you in here. You're about to hear about it. Dabo said that 98.5% of the fans were fantastic. Clemson fans were fantastic. But there's this 1.5% who is angry and they're unhappy with the football team. And his words was, maybe we need to lose a few more so we can lighten up the bandwagon. Well, maybe that was the plan tonight. Keep losing like this and you'll light up the transfer portal, and some of these great players who has committed to Clemson would decommit. As my grandmother used to say, be careful what you say. From your mouth to God's ears, you lost your third game of the season. This is unacceptable for Clemson to play the way that they've been playing. Have a bunch of people in here. Chase Stacks, thank you for supporting the channel here. Dabo's officially on the hot seat. No more excuses. He's not. I appreciate you donating to the channel, and thank you so much. Anyone who wants to donate here, I appreciate it. He's not on the hot seat, and that's the reason why like tonight, he's going to do a post game, and then he'll do the Monday call-in show. And I can go ahead and tell you straight up, he's going to say what most coaches say after they lose. We're all sick of it. This means more to us than it even means to the fans. I mean, this makes us sick. But we're just learning. We got to get better, and we've got. Chase, thank you for donating to the channel. Said Chase, if you think Dabo is on the hot seat, you're a moron and a fair weather fan. Thank you for supporting the channel. I do appreciate that, bud. You didn't have to do that. Also, you're a member of the channel. You didn't have to do that. Thank you for that. With that said, I think Chase just gave another $5 just to say that. Got an additional 13 years, my guy. You don't know what you're talking about, and I'll leave that between y'all. Thank you for donating to the channel. Thank you. And I'm going to get back to this, but thank you for donating to the channel. The unfortunate part is Swinney does know that he can get away with this. He does know that he can get away with this. He's not on the hot seat. But should he take inventory of where the team is at, other than getting mad at the fans and the people who has bought in 100% into Dabo Swinney? Dabo built this thing. He's not doing what he used to hire coaches that were the very best. I'm talking about from top to bottom. I've talked about this a lot. There's a lot of people in here. Maybe you've never heard me say this, but if you go look at the offensive positions coaches, each one, wide receiver coach, running back coach, offensive line, keep going down the list. We have a bunch of guys, two of them who's never coached before. They're former players, former NFL players. They've never coached before. Another guy, he spent 2 years at Georgia State, came over. We have two high school coaches on Clemson's position coach staff. Folks, I'm telling you, giving one of these guys a chance, that's fine. But giving your entire offensive roster, offensive coach roster, a chance at their first job all at one time, this is what you get, folks. And I'm seeing a lot of people upset at Cade, and I'm telling you, Cade Klubnik is not the problem. Cade Klubnik's development, let me rephrase that, lack thereof over the past year is the problem. Clemson did not develop him last year like they developed Trevor behind Kelly, Kelly behind Deshaun Watson behind Cole Stout, Taj Boyd behind Kyle Parker. They haven't. They didn't. This is what happens when you don't develop players properly. This is what happens when you hire guys who you probably should have hired someone else, especially in the offensive department. Parker Henderson being a little snarky. I like it. We didn't miss a field goal. So there's a chance. Thanks for donating to the show, my friend. There's so many comments. There's so many people in here. If I miss someone, please forgive me. Cooper Myrick, I'm a Carolina fan, but love your content. Thank you so much. Thank you for supporting the channel. It really does mean a lot to me. Rub the Rock. This is the result of Dabo's hubris and ignorance and nepotistic hiring. Clemson is officially below average. And in my opinion, he's worn out his welcome. All I want him to do is get back to where he was. What made him successful? Will be Taco Gaming. Thank you for supporting the channel. Clemson will be lucky if we make a bowl game this year. If we continue to coach and play like we did tonight. Thank you for supporting the channel. Thank you for everyone who's supporting the channel. I want to say this to Miami. You played a good game. Clemson laid the opportunity out there. You cashed in. Good job. Now, I'm not saying that Klubnik played a great game. I'm not saying that whatsoever. What I'm saying is this is not Klubnik's fault. His lack of development is not his fault, folks. You need to remember last night, or not last night, good grief. Last year, I'm sorry, I'm losing it. Last year, they would not work him into the lineup. They wouldn't put a gun to their head. They wouldn't work him into the lineup. But they did bench DJ in the Syracuse game, so Cade could come out and win the game, and then turn around and bench him again. So, folks, I'm going to tell you, I don't know Cade Klubnik. I'm not, part of the Cade Klubnik fan club in the sense of like, no matter what he does, I mean, I'm going to be critical, but I'm also going to tell the truth. This guy, any fallacy that you're seeing right now is because they did not develop the guy. The ABCs of football. Why did they call that play tonight the final play to have him try to outrun Miami's defense? Where was Phil Maffa? Shipley was obviously hurt. That was the best play you came up with? I mean, I really don't know what to say, folks. I really don't know what to say. My concern for this season is this is not over. We just had a bye week. We had a bye week. But the week before that, we had homecoming. We played Wake Forest, a Wake Forest team that's not like the Wake Forest teams of the past few years with Sam Hartman and some of those good wide receivers that they had, where it was kind of tough playing Wake Forest. No, This is a subpar rebuild year for Wake Forest. They held Clemson to 17 points. You say, well, Brian, you just mentioned a bunch of offensive players. True, you're right. But you would think that Clemson would use that lack of offensive production to just kind of overwhelm Wake Forest and just at least win by a couple of more touchdowns. No. We were told by every person who wants to give this team a pass, give this coaching staff a pass. Well, you can't win every game by 100. I agree with you. But the ABCs of football says you beat a bad team bad. And we are now past that point where the bye week was last week. We're going into the meat of our season. Everybody thought about the first half of the season with Florida State. But we're now going into, and this is really sad, the road does not get any easier, folks. Now, NC State is terrible. I think Duke threw, 4 passes last week and beat them with a backup quarterback. But Clemson has to go to Carter Finley next week. And as poorly as they played tonight, a terrible NC State team might stand a chance. The week after that, 2 weeks from tonight, will be November the 4th. Guess who comes to town? Notre Dame. Ask Southern Cal how tough it is to play Notre Dame right now. Then what? After that, you got what? Georgia Tech? Yeah, I know North Carolina lost tonight, and that's ridiculous. North Carolina's still a good football team. The only saving grace there is it's at Death Valley. Notre Dame's at Death Valley. Then you got to go down and play South Carolina. And yeah, South Carolina is terrible, but as bad as Clemson is playing right now, do you, be honest with you, forget how long you've been pulling for Clemson. And even if you hate Clemson, but you're just going to be a realist for a moment. Do you think by the way that Clemson played tonight and the way that they played in their last game 2 weeks ago, do you think it's a guarantee that they beat South Carolina at Williams-Brice at the end of the year? The proper answer is no, it's not guaranteed. Folks, I want to give a shout out to my sponsor. There's a link below. 354 of you in here right now, which for a channel my size, that's ridiculous. Thank you for being here. I hope you subscribe. It's free. Just use your thumb right there and click subscribe. I do appreciate it. Anybody who wants to support the channel, there's people who's already been good to the channel in here and been supporting it. John Setton, thank you for your $5 that you gave there. Thank you for supporting the channel. I really do appreciate you. Thank you so much, my friend. And you're a member of the Not Bobby Durkins channel. So if you want to join the channel and join John and Grafnar and a bunch of these guys, there's a join button below. You can do that. But I want to give a shout out to my sponsor, 4puttcarts.com. The link is below. They're a beverage and snack cart service for golf courses and special events. Now, I used to work at a golf course. I worked at a clubhouse. The Clemson used to have their shindig there with all the former players, Perry Tuttle, Jeff Davis. They used to come in, and I remember working there. And we would get overwhelmed at tournament time. This is the time, even if you have cart service, you need to get in touch with 4puttcarts.com. Tell them you heard about them from me. Even if it's not a golf course, if you have a special event going on, I'm telling you, people will rave about it. Get in touch with them. Also, I've been giving away these. So stay tuned this week. If you come back, you're watching my videos. This is the small version of this. This is a prototype. They only made one of them for me, but I've been giving away these courtesy of the Sawmill Shop. The Sawmill Shop, the link is below. Tell them both that you heard about them from Not Bobby Durkins. Now, folks, I'm going to tell you straight up. Clemson has not faced this, what they're facing right now, in many, many years. So if you're someone who absolutely loves to hate Clemson, if you love to hate Clemson, this is your Christmas, your early Christmas. You are probably thrilled because this hasn't happened. And I give that to the coach and to the team. But history tells us, and history matters, folks. History matters. History tells us that once you start on the decline, if you don't stop it, you continue to decline. You can't stop it. It's like a runaway car who's lost its brakes. You can't stop it. Nebraska barely lost a game for many, many years. Nebraska at one time, and you have to do your research. I can't remember the exact timeline. I want to say it was like 20 or 25 consecutive seasons. They won almost 10 games every year. There might have been a 9-game win here or there. And then, of course, in the 90s, they won, 2 national championships, 3 national championships, something like that. But Nebraska today is a joke. And I remember when it started backsliding on them, when things started going down. I guarantee you, if you went to a Nebraska fan at that time in the early 2000s and said something to them, they'd be like, look, okay? And we know that times are changing. We don't have Coach Osborne, but we've got it good and we can't complain. Fast forward 20-something years later. You lose recruits. People who used to be thrilled that you're showing up at their high school games to recruit them, they no longer care because you're irrelevant. That's where we're going, folks. If something does not change. What do I suggest as the change? I'm going to give you the change. I'm not going to sit here and just point fingers and say, oh, this is, something's got to be done. First of all, firing Dabo Swinney or Dabo Swinney being on the hot seat is totally not it. It's not it. Hitting the transfer portal is not it. Let me tell you how you fix this. You go back to what made you successful. Dabo Swinney, day one, he was an interim. It's kind of like when Jim on The Office became co-manager with Michael. Any Office fans here? And he wanted to fire someone, and he looks at Pam, and he goes, I don't even know if I can fire someone. She says, can you do that? I didn't know that an interim could fire someone. First day, he fired Rob Spence. Why? Rob Spence was not getting the job done in Swinney's opinion. He fired him. Right? He did. Move on a little farther down the road. The now Florida head coach, Billy Napier, was our offensive coordinator. He fired him after a few years, I believe. We can't forget the Kevin Steele giving up 70 points to West Virginia. He fired Kevin Steele and hired who? Brent Venables. When he fired Napier, that's when he hired Chad Morris. Brought on people who were specialists at their position as a coach. That's where we mess up with the leaders, folks. I don't care if it's political. I don't care if it's at a company. I don't care if it's at a football team. I don't care if it is planning your family outing, your family get-together. If you're in charge of it, That doesn't mean that you have to be the mastermind behind everything. What you do is you say, who's good at this? If we were planning an event right now, we would, and I'm going to go back to football because this is getting weird. People's going to be like, what? This doesn't make sense. Who in college football is really good with developing an offensive line and being gritty and powerful? And well, it's this person and this person. We're calling them immediately. Well, they've been at so-and-so school for a long time. Offer them enough money, they will be at our school in no time. Who's the best wide receiver coach in the country? You go after them. You throw money at them. That's what you do. Well, what about culture? Folks, I don't want rapists and physical assaulters and thieves and a bunch of jerks and a bunch of terrible things going on. People at Clemson or things going on at Clemson, okay? But we've got to stop playing this game, and this is what's happened at Clemson over the past few years. We used to demand excellence across the board. Now at Clemson, we're now starting to see ourselves go, well, we got some really good guys here, and overall, it's more than just about football. You can't divorce the two, folks. I'm sorry. That's the easy way out. We know that this is the easy way out. Because used to, we demanded both. You have to be a good person. You can't be smacking Granny over the head and taking her pocketbook. You can't be snorting coke off some prostitute's stomach. Okay? No. And we expect you to be a good football player. We've got to get back to that. You will keep your culture. But somehow we've weeded that out. We have weeded it out to where Clemson does not demand excellence out of its football coaches. And I'm sorry. This is on the coaches. Mario Cristobal, tonight he mishandled the clock at the end of the game. You would think that after making one of the worst coaching decisions a few weeks ago, he would just go back to the ABCs of football. Kind of like going back to The Office, one of my Office references. Dwight Schrute says, I always think to myself, if it would an idiot do that? And if I think yes, then I don't do that thing. Mario Cristobal should be at the point that goes, it's that a bad coaching move? Is that a bad play? Is that bad clock meant? Then I don't do that thing. He got lucky tonight that Clemson was not taking this away from you, Canes. But had he been playing a team that was on their stuff tonight, first of all, Clemson would have continued to build a lead. But they would have made him pay for that. But don't worry, they didn't. This is on coaching for Clemson. Position coaches needs to be immediately evaluated. You need to bring in the right people at each position. You're flipping Clemson University. Make the phone call. They'll say yes. Find specialists and get them there now. You'll fix this like that. Does that mean that you'll win every game and Clemson will never lose again? No. But folks, are you with me yet? We're seeing Clemson blow it in ways that they normally don't blow it. Or losing a game by like a walk-off field goal. Okay, that sucks and stuff, but that's not what's happening, folks. I just don't know what to say to you. Rub the Rock, thank you for supporting the channel. We just lost to the same team that forgot how to run a victory formation. Yeah. Yep. Thank you for supporting the channel. Yeah, I'm so sorry. I really have nothing to say other than thank you for supporting the channel and thank you for giving, because this is not good. John Sarian, thank you for supporting the channel. Proud of defense. Miami struggled to get over 300. Offense is historically inept. Worst under Dabo. Pretty good. Thank you for supporting the channel. I really do. I really do appreciate it. Now, folks, I have a bunch of people in here, and I want to tell you first and foremost, thank you. Thank you for joining me on my show. I do ask that you subscribe. Subscribe, pass this around in your forums. Even if you're making fun of me, I don't care. I've met a lot of good people. I met a lot of really, really good people. And even people from other fan bases who we like to take shots at each other. It's a lot of fun. So I do appreciate it. So, folks, once again, hire the proper positions coaches. You are Clemson, and while you still have clout, do it. Don't wait for a couple of more years and now you're an annual 8-4, 7-5 football team. That's too late. That's too late. You're starting to lose players. You're starting to lose recruits. People are hitting the transfer portal and they're leaving you. Don't wait until then. Do it today. Well, Brian, this is in the middle of the season. Then get your list together so when this terrible, awful season is over, and we're not done losing, folks, unless a miracle happens, we're not done losing. You think 3 losses is it? Three? No. I can see realistically at least another 2. I love my Tigers. I've pulled for my Tigers since I can remember when Danny Ford was fired. I grew up right outside of Clemson. I mean, like, if I wanted to go anywhere, I had to go through Clemson. I had to see the stadium almost every day. I am as Tiger gets. I love my team. I've lived through more bad Clemson football than good Clemson football. And I can tell you straight up, we're going back into bad Clemson football. The sad thing is we're just doing it with good players. We're doing it with good players. And this is sad. This is sad. Now, one thing I want to challenge all of the Clemson fans especially to do not blame the players. Don't blame all of the coaches. Leave the players alone. Don't talk trash about Cade. That's not okay. There are people around him who has paid way more than all of us put together times 10 to make sure that he is ready. This is a guy who didn't lose a football game in high school, and he played at the highest level of Texas football. This is not his fault. Clemson, 15 years ago, would have blown their brains out to get their hands on this kid. They're just mismanaging him now. And I know that I'm one of these people who's kind of a no excuses guy. We all need to take ownership of our own progress and our own problems and be responsible adult. I get that. But when the people around you are paid specifically to develop you, to put you in the right place, and they're not, that's not on you, pal. It will, for you to develop, you're going to have to do something yourself. I got a ton of great comments in here. Clifton Harrison, thank you so much. Thank you, Clifton Harris, for supporting the show. I really do appreciate it, my friend. Thank you. Thank you for supporting the show. I see a bunch of people in here. Y'all are so, even y'all who are absolutely beating down Clemson and making fun of me. This is really fun to have you in here. Jackson Brazil, love my Gamecocks. Clemson played poorly. Are still better than us. Hope my Shamecocks can beat y'all. Bad day for SC football. Hey, at least Coastal won. Furman won. Thank you for supporting the show. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. So, folks, in closing, that's what I would do. Go back to what made you successful. It's not rocket science. Okay? It's not. So, you do that, you fix the problem. You don't, you continue. But Clemson fans, remember, don't take it out on the players. Some of the coaches are innocent, but the coaching overhaul needs to be done immediately at the positions level. Right? It needs to be. It needs to be done immediately. Or this is not going to be this season only. It's going to be next season. So, couple of more comments and then I'm gone. Please subscribe if you haven't. Also, check out the links below to my sponsor, 4puttcards.com. Tell them that you heard about them from me. The Sawmill Shop will be giving away some more of these this week. So check them out and let them know that you heard about them from me. Trey Baker, this is bad. We've become a joke in less than a season. There are some standout plays, but none that even matters. Just embarrassing. Thank you for supporting the channel, Trey. I really do appreciate it. I really do appreciate that. Sue Kavanaugh, my Ohio State friend and longtime Bobby Durkin supporter. This is for the fun to get y'all some good positions coaches. Sue, I'm going to tell you, I think that we could absolutely raise all the money in the world. And that's at this point, we wouldn't hire anyone. But thank you for supporting the channel. I'll take the money instead of giving it to them. Folks, I will catch you later. You take care of yourself. Subscribe if you hadn't. And yeah. I have nothing more to say other than I think it's just going to continue to get worse unless we see some big changes. Thank you for joining me. Hit the thumbs up. Go Tigers.